Here we have brakes on an Audi A4. It's the same as the A5, Q5 is this, the principle is extremely similar to all of them, but let's just get started. This wheel cap right here, see someone's already marred it up. There's this little spot right here, and that correlates with this spot right here in the wheel. There's gonna be a little half moon. All right, so make sure whenever you pop those caps on that you don't force it in the wrong spot. We got our 17 millimeters. Oh, you pull it out with a right angle pick, and there's a hole in there. So you just throw the right angle pick in there and then pull it straight out. We got our 17 millimeters. If those don't come off as easy as I just got them off, then you're gonna have to take a breaker bar on the ground and break them loose and then take them off. All right. Now we have a T30 right here. So most of you probably don't have an impact driver. The best way to take that T30 out is with one of these tools right here, impact driver. And if you don't know how to use it, you just load it up and then you hit it with a hammer. So most of you probably don't have that. So you wouldn't use this. This is a ratchet, so you would want to use something more like an impact. And this is a little bit overkill, 1/2-inch drive. We're gonna go grab quarter drive is my favorite to work with. We got 2 different quarter drives here. We got a big boy and a small boy. We're gonna use the big boy, even though it's still a quarter drive. This one's got a lot of torque. This one is actually more applicable for, setting stuff down that does need torqued. So whenever you're taking this out, this little T30, make sure that it's all the way seated up in there, because if you strip that out, then you got more problems. So put those to the side in a safe spot, because it's nice to put those back in, don't lose them. Then we got the anti-rattle clip, okay? We're gonna take a screwdriver here, put it right behind it, and then pop the anti-rattle clip off. Then we take, I have this pry bar handy. We take a pry bar of our choosing. We're replacing the brakes, so it doesn't matter if the pads or whatever. There's a little window of opportunity right up in here, and we're gonna pry on the caliper. It's not getting the best pry action. Normally I just pull the caliper back like this. See, it's working, it's taking some time. And you see where the pry bar is. There's an access hole inside this caliper. I can't show you everything. I can't take all my time and move the camera and show you the little access port. You can use your imagination, or you can go to your car and see where this is inside there. But it takes time to pry. I'm not putting a bunch of tension on it. I'm just putting some tension on it. It takes time for the fluid to go back into the hydraulic system. So just be a little bit patient and put some of your strength on it. And I don't know if you can tell, but the caliper is almost all the way pushed back in already. So now, to prove that, I'm gonna, see that, did you hear that? So we have our 13 millimeters for our caliper slide, but then we also have 21 millimeters for our caliper bridge. So we're gonna take the caliper slides out first, and that's, like I said, that's our 13 millimeter. So then we can go to our ratchet, and we can grab our 13 millimeter socket. And that one's 12, I said 13. All right, these will be these bolts right here. See, that's the one that goes inside your caliper piston, see? And then this is the one that goes on the outside. See how thin they are? Go ahead and put these to the side. They typically have new bolts, but you don't have to put new bolts in. Now, that piston, to me, it looks like it's all the way pushed in, but furthermore, I'm going to take my pair of pliers. I wish I had a bigger one, but these will work. So that's gonna verify that the piston's all the way pushed back in. I just verified it with my pliers. So now we get this caliper bridge off. So I'm just gonna lay that to the side. It's not gonna damage, no, it's not gonna damage the hose. I laid it to the side, there's no stress whatsoever. Let's get our 21 millimeter breaker bar, and then it's pretty on there. Did someone crank this one? All right, the purpose is just to snap it loose. All right, once you snap it loose, then you can go back in with 3/8 drive and save some time. As long as I can figure out where I set my 3/8 ratchet, which is right here. Big fat bolt. You can torque that as tight as you can get it. Another one. Now, this comes off. Let me show you my secret. Got a nice pry bar here. Instead of hammering, bang, 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 and possibly messing up the wheel bearing, I'm just gonna take this pry bar underneath the lower ball joint and I'm just gonna go pop. Now it would be better if I was less dramatic, but I'm doing a video, so now let's open up my new box and take a look at the rotor situation. Oh man, we got this drilled and slotted, boys. Oh well. Now, see this? That's where it goes. That's where this goes. Let's line it up. All right, since that was wrapped in plastic, there's not a layer of oil on it. It didn't need a layer of, so typically you would wash them off if there's a layer of oil on it because that's how some manufacturers pack their rotors. Now let's take a look at the vanes. Since this one's drilled and slotted, it goes this way, it goes this way, so that it is directional. So now we take our T30 and our impact driver and we can just run it in. Now, back to the caliper bridge. We take this with our big bolts and we slide it on. We run it in to save time. Definitely don't want to forget to go back and actually tighten it. Now, these are our caliper slide pins. See that? You want to make sure that both of those slide very freely. And if you really want to go the extra measure, if you feel like there's not grease in there or they don't move absolutely perfectly, you can pop the boot off and jam some extra grease in there. In this case, both of these are moving flawlessly. I'm not even going to mess with it. I'm going to load the brake pads up. Let's go. I did not have the brake pads handy. I had to go grab them, but here's what they look like, thickness. All right, like I said, this part goes inside the caliper. So, and then the other side loads up just like this. Now you push the slide pins back so the caliper can slide into place, and then you take your 13 millimeter. All right, and then you take your ratchet. When you put your caliper back on, you better make sure that the line is straight and you didn't flip it 360 and put it on so that the brake line is twisted. That's very tight and nice, everything's good, but we can't forget our clip. So then we're just gonna take the clip and pop it right on. And then after it's popped on, you wanna make sure that it's seated properly. And then we go back to putting our wheel on. Now before you take off, I'm gonna do the other side, okay? But I'm not gonna show you because it's the same exact thing. But before you just go, putting it in reverse and getting out of here, anytime you do brakes, you pump up the brake pedal and make sure it's good and firm before you drive, reverse, anything with the selector. So help me out, smash that thumbs up button, and stay tuned for more interesting videos in the future. Check it out, as I'm pushing the pistons in, we got brake fluid dripping from the master cylinder because it was overfilled. Or it was filled whenever the brakes were super low. Therefore, whenever I push the pistons in, it comes out. If you want to prevent that from happening, if you have a really nice car and you don't want brake fluid dripping down the inside, brake fluid is chances are it's not going to do anything, but it could, wherever it drips from, if it's not cleaned, it could eat the paint. So the other thing is, if it does that, especially on a customer car, you take some, in the firewall area, you take some water or something and just wash it down. And that's all it takes. But I figured I'd mention that. And then the other thing I need to mention is on the driver's side, everything's the exact same. You just have, see that loop right there? This back pad right here has a spot where you put your brake pad sensor in. So all it does is clip into place. Do you see this brake pad sensor? See how it's got a ridge on either side? You have to be extremely careful with it. If it's broken, the new pads come with a new one, and you just slide it right in this slot right here. See, there's a slot. It's a little bit dirty, but there's a slot right there in the middle of the pad. And then the idea is that ridge will, as it wears down, it'll cut, the rotor will cut through that wire, and all it takes is to open up that wire, and then the gauge cluster will say, oh, we need brake pads. So there it is.